Hey, Tom and Nick here from the Run Testers, and we are going to be doing a versus of two shoes, both designed for PBs on race day. Those shoes are the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 3 and the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. Let's take a look. The Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 costs £210 or $225. It weighs in at 209 grams or 7.4 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 8mm. The Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 3 costs £220 or $230. It weighs in at 218 grams or 7.7 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 6.5mm. The Adizero Adios Pro 3 is the latest version of Adidas's long-distance race shoe. It features Energyrods 2.0 that run the full length of the shoe, working alongside 2 layers of Lightsrike Pro midsole foam to deliver a stiff ride that has a high level of energy return. There's a redesigned upper that aims to be breathable while offering a good level of support and structure, along with ample padding around the heel and ankle collar. The outsole is covered with a generous layer of continental rubber for grip when running at speed, as well as protection for the midsole foam. It's a shoe that's best suited to longer distance races, from half marathon to marathon, helping runners to maintain a consistent pace with less softness and bounce than competitor super shoes out there. The Saucony Endorphin Pro and Pro 2 were met with a mixed response when released, mainly due to the firmer ride when compared with other carbon plate super shoes available. With the Endorphin Pro 3, Saucony has made a shoe which is almost unrecognisable when compared with its predecessors. The new higher stack of Power Run PB foam delivers the bounce and softness that people have come to expect from leading super shoes. That midsole works alongside the S-curve carbon plate and speed roll design to produce an incredibly comfortable and fluid ride for running at speed, one that's comparable with Nike's leading shoes. Unlike some carbon plate racers, we've even found that the Endorphin Pro is so versatile that it can be used across race distances from 5k all the way up to marathons, and works extremely well for training sessions at different paces. Okay, so Nick, 2 shoes. How do these shoes fit for you?
Really well, actually. I've got nothing to say about the Endorphin Pro, apart from the fact it's true to size for me and a really comfortable fit. The upper's a bit, holey. It's got holes all over it, but yeah, it fits very well and holds the foot well. The Adios Pro is a slightly weird one, actually. The Adios, I've actually got a half size up, just because it was the only press sample going for me, and it fits really well. And because it's so aggressively tapered in the toe box, I'm not sure I think if you had a wide foot in particular, there might be a case for going half size up, because it does. I know Kieran had some real trouble with it, and he's got a big wide foot, and it rubbed him a bit at the front there. So I'm actually half a size up in it, and it fits really well. So maybe that's what I'd suggest for the Adios Pro.
Yes, well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually had that problem as well, and I never have problems with shoes. I've got feet that just don't really care about the size of shoes quite often, so I never get rubbing or anything like that. But first time I wore these, I got a massive blister on my toe. From these, so I definitely would look at going half a size up in these, because it was quite uncomfortable for a while. So yeah, I'd go half size up in the Adios Pro 3. In the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, fantastic, fits true to size, and never had any issues at all. Very comfortable. It's got a sort of semi-relaxed fit, I feel, with the upper, which means that you get a nice lockdown, but no issues at all. So yeah, true to size in that for me. Okay, so Nick, big shoes, fast times. How have you found the run test in both of these shoes?
I'll start with the Adios Pro 3. That's the one I had in first, and I really didn't like it at first. I think the first run I did in it was like a hard session surrounding a park run, and I didn't run that well. It didn't feel very good for the all-out park run. It felt way too big and clumpy, but even actually on the kind of more marathon pace segments I was doing either side of the park run, it didn't feel great to me. I found it was slightly firmer than I expected for such a big shoe, and just not very responsive. But actually it did break in a little bit. I think the rods were very stiff when you first start using the shoe. They're still very stiff now, but the feeling underfoot has definitely relaxed a bit. And I did some cruise yesterday. I did a long 15 miler, 6-minute miles, just rolling through with this shoe, and it felt really good actually. And I did then some other kind of tempo-ish runs, more when I was working fast and doing some fast running, but probably moving towards marathon pace, not going beyond that, and I liked it a lot more for that. I found it a bit too big and cumbersome for kind of all-out speed work. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I in both of these shoes, the first time I ran in them was a park run, the same park run, and I actually got pretty similar. I got my PB in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, but I got fairly similar time in the Adios Pro 3. But what I found in those two runs is that I enjoyed running the Pro 3. I didn't enjoy running the Adios Pro 3. It just felt a bit stiff. Didn't feel very comfortable on the feet. I had rubbing on it. So even though they gave me a sort of similar response at that distance in terms of the speed that I was going, it wasn't a nice experience in the Adios Pro 3. Just because it just felt a little bit clunky, a little bit harder, a little bit firmer, and I lacked the flexibility and that sort of freedom that you get from the Pro 3. I've used it for tempo training as well. I think I've got to about 15k in this shoe, and that's not at my full-on pace. That's more at my marathon pace, and I did find it worked pretty well at that pace. I quite enjoyed it. By that time, I sort of wore in the shoes so that it was a bit more relaxed. I wasn't getting rubbing by that point, so I enjoyed it a bit more. But I would say it's even after like 50k of running the shoe, it feels considerably harder and firmer than the Endorphin Pro 3. And the Endorphin Pro 3, I've done probably more than that now, probably up to about 65, 70k in the shoe now, and it's just so comfortable and soft and bouncy. Which I think is the biggest distinction between this and the Adios Pro 3.
Yeah, I agree. I'd certainly agree that this is a harder shoe to love. Like I have done lots of stuff running it. Like you say, performance has been there. I've not disliked it. I liked how it felt on a kind of long cruisy run, and I did some like 2 mile reps at kind of around, I think, 540 mile pace. And I was using this and the New Balance Pacer, the low stack shoe, and for fairly shortish reps, this was just much better. Like it felt faster, more propulsive than that kind of low stack shoe, and it was much more comfortable. And it was okay, but yeah, I haven't fallen in love with this shoe, whereas the Endorphin Pro 3 I've fallen very kind of firmly in love with this summer. Like I've been using it for loads. I'm at about, I think, 140k in it. Just been putting it through everything. Like I've done a 22 miler in this. I've done an all-out park run in it. I've done I've done a really horrible long track session, and that was the session that really made me think, oh, this can kind of do any pace. It was one of my coach's favourites, where you do it was like a session where I was doing, I think, like 5 1k reps, 6 800 metre reps, and then 8 400 metre reps. And I really wasn't looking forward to it, but this shoe felt amazing throughout, and hasn't really been a run I haven't enjoyed in it at all. Even when I've been struggling in the heat or struggling with my form or anything like that, I feel like the speed roll technology just works really, really well for me, and I get so much for it, and it's just more comfortable than the Pro 2, which I did like. So you're getting extra comfort there, but you're also getting more speed because it's somehow lighter than the Pro 2, even with a higher stack. And just all round, it kind of ticks every box. It doesn't feel like a carbon plate shoe that's built for a specific purpose beyond being really quick and doing loads of stuff well, whereas the Adios Pro 3 feels like a shoe that's built just for running a marathon in it. And although it isn't slow at short distance stuff, it doesn't feel great. And I dislike almost the way we're compartmentalising carbon shoes these days. The Vaporfly can do everything, still can do everything, and the Endorphin Pro 3 is another shoe in that category. It can kind of do everything fast really well, and actually be quite nice at slow stuff.
Yeah. I think I've been saying that this is firmer than the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, the Adios Pro 3. It's by no means a firm shoe. I'm just comparing it with the Endorphin Pro 3. It's still quite a soft shoe. It's just when the Endorphin Pro 3 is very similar to the Vaporfly and the Alphalfly, and it is very spongy, whereas this is just a little bit more firmness to it. But what I would say about the Adios Pro 3 is that I haven't used the Pro 2, but the Pro 1 I liked for shorter distance stuff, which I don't with this shoe. I actually use that for track quite a bit. It just feels like quite a nice peppy shoe to use for track sessions, whereas I probably wouldn't use this shoe for it. It just doesn't feel right for those short distance ones. I
think actually one of the reasons maybe my opinions on the shoes is guided by the previous version. So I like the Pro 2, but the Pro 3 is a clear upgrade. It's like, it's a real shoe that everyone's falling in love with, whereas I did quite like the Adios Pro 2 as well, and I felt that was a nimbler, lighter shoe that was still very comfortable for long distances. I really liked it for half marathons. I think this is more comfortable, and the slightly lower drop makes it slightly more cushy under the forefoot in particular over the marathon distance. But I struggle to say that this is a big upgrade on the Adios Pro 2, and it's much more expensive and much bigger and much uglier. It's a bit like the Alphafly. It's quite a hard shoe to love, even if the performance is there. But the Alphafly, I think the performance is so clearly there that I can learn to love it. Whereas with the Adios, I don't think it's outperforming something like the Endorphin Pro 3, which I think is a much more likeable shoe and cheaper.
And then probably one more thing to say on this shoe is the outsole. I really like the outsole on generally most Adidas shoes when they use Continental rubber, but the outsole on this just seems to work very well for me on just all sorts of road surfaces. In fact, the Endorphin Pro 3 isn't bad either. I just really like that Continental rubber outsole.
Yeah, I should say actually quickly, I mentioned this in our other Vaporfly comparisons. This has gripped very well for me in the wet, but I did have a torrential downpour during a track session whilst wearing this shoe, and it did feel quite different in the midsole. I feel like it absorbed a lot of water and then shed it quite quickly, but yeah, running while it was still raining, it felt slightly odd, so I'm going to do some more wet runs and report back on that in our longer term
Well, you'll have plenty of opportunity to do those now in the UK.
Yeah, the summer is over.
Okay, so Nick, verdict. I don't think this is going to be too difficult from what we've been saying. What shoe are you going for? Why would you use these two shoes?
This is a really simple one for me. I think the Endorphin Pro 3 is a better shoe all round, and it's much cheaper, and it's much more likeable because it doesn't look quite so weird. Like at the marathon distance, I think the performance is probably quite similar. It'd be quite difficult to maybe pick which is going to be the genuinely better shoe, but I prefer the feel of the Endorphin Pro 3 in it. I would definitely do a marathon in it over the Adios Pro 3, and then looking at any other distance, I think this is a nimbler, lighter, faster, more exciting shoe to use. So yeah, Pro 3, easy win for me, especially it is a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I'm fully with you on that one. We've had a few carbon plate shoes to test around the same time, and the Endorphin Pro, Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, very quickly fell into my list of possible shoes for doing Chicago Marathon. Not once have I thought I'm gonna do, but based on the fact that we've got lots of different shoes, I've not once thought about using the Adios Pro 3, but I don't think it's a bad shoe. I enjoy running this shoe. It's just when you compare with some of the other options out there, like the Endorphin Pro 3, it's just far superior to me in every way. I actually, when I say I'm going out I've got a tempo run to do in a bit, I want to take the shoe out and run in it. I actually look at it and think that this is going to be a great run. Probably wouldn't get there with this. I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not looking forward to the run in such a way. So yeah, I think Endorphin Pro 3 for me, and just for the fact it's way more versatile. Like, use it for park run, use it for a marathon. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think almost the Adios Pro struggles by the new kind of compartmentalizing of carbon shoes that's going on. Like Adidas released the Takumi Sen 8, which is a brilliant shoe and like very clearly a better shoe for 5k, 10k racing than this, and it's really good. And then you've got this as the marathon option, but I'd like that Saucony haven't done that. I've gone, well, this is the carbon shoe, go and do all your races in it. And that's how I feel about it. It feels like it's great for all of them.
Okay, so that's it from us on our versus on the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 and the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 3. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the little bell icon. And check the channel out for the latest running shoes and trail shoe reviews, as well as headphones and watches out at the moment. And don't forget that we've also got our monthly podcast that comes out at the end of each month. If you go down into the captions below, you can find the link to your podcast provider of choice. And we will see you next time. Won't we, Nick?
Sure will.